Banji Vakorja. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Fireside Chat. And this is Fireside Chat 207, brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates, and Druids. And as is customary, I shall start with a prayer for peace. Gamara Shiakon ar fud na crinne. Gamara Shiakon in our Jaili agus in our Jirha. Ganairi Lin lena cuid garmacha. Gamwich buichas jeev, jea chivdaga, spirit chivdaga. May peace prevail on earth. May peace prevail in our homes and in our countries. May our missions be accomplished. We thank you, guardian spirits and guardian deities. For peace, as the fever of day calms towards twilight, may all that is strained in us come to ease. We pray for all who suffered violence today. May an unexpected serenity surprise them. For those who risk their lives each day for peace, may their hearts glimpse providence at the heart of history. That those who make riches from violence and war might hear in their dreams the cries of the lost. That we might see through our fear of each other a new vision to heal our fatal attraction to aggression. That those who enjoy the privilege of peace might not forget their tormented brothers and sisters. That the wolf might lie down with the lamb. That our swords be beaten into ploughshares, and no hurt or harm be done anywhere along the Holy Mountain, with thanks to John O'Donoghue. So you're all very, very welcome. And let me see where people are from today. Hi, Liz from Wyoming. We've got Calgary, Bloomington, Indiana. Oh, soon to be. Rural Indiana now, but soon to be Bloomington. Okay, South Wales, lovely Calgary, Berlin, Ireland, of course, as Kevin is there. Slough, Hertfordshire, Missouri, lovely. Oh, lovely evening from Italy. Good evening from Italy. Oh, Orkney, hi Eunice, lovely to see you here. Where else? Yeah, Aberdeenshire, lovely. So it's been 21 degrees here in Ireland, in Kilkenny, and the sun is shining still, which is really, really nice. Much cooler than it was last week when we had our little mini heat wave, which I was really enjoying. So we are going, County Meath, lovely. So steamy Enrico, Virginia. 38 degrees. Oh, that's hot. Okay. Bristol, Florida, Northern California, sunny Suffolk. That's lovely. Yeah, I know in other places in Europe, the temperatures are crazily hot. So too bloody warm, says Sean in Calgary. So let's everybody as cool and as warm as they can be. Too warm to go outside. Wow. Okay, that is hard. So hopefully you've plenty of cooling. Hello from Panama. Wow. It's the first time I've seen somebody from Panama. You're all very, very welcome. Well, we are going to Ireland, going to Sligo. And my guest this evening is, let's see if she's coming in, Leslie McElroy. Leslie, you're so, so welcome.
Thank you, Eimear.
So we know by your accent that you're not Irish. However, you're an adopted Irish person because you've been living now in Ireland for the last few years. So tell our viewers where you are.
I'm in a small village called Gurcheen in the south of Sligo, quite close to the Roscommon borders, and there's lots of farmland around, lots of rocks, quite a few trees, a few rivers, and it's very peaceful and very friendly.
And do you know what Gurcheen means?
The small field, I believe.
That's right. So plenty of small little fields. So what possessed you to move to Ireland?
It's been a dream for over 40 years. I just feel at home here. It's so when I first I think I first came to Ireland when I was about 18, just backpacking and hosteling. Mm-hmm. And that draw, that pull, the love for the place never went away. And I kept coming back every year. I met friends, and I did a lot of camping down in Dingle in Kerry.
Beautiful.
I brought my 3 beautiful boys who are now men, adults. over for camping, and we did lots of hiking, swimming, all the things you do outdoors. And when I finally retired from full-time work, it took about 2 years for us to finally find somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up settling in Sligo because my husband Kevin works in Carrick, so it was handy for his work. So here we are. Yeah, learning and living and loving Sligo.
Well, for me, so Sligo is about 3.5 hours drive away from here for me. It's one of the most special places. Well, there's so many places, but I just love the landscape of Sligo. And I know you've had health issues, so you haven't been able to enough to explore. But we have, Knocknaray, which is a beautiful cairn on a mountain, Irish mountain. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a nice climb up to it, and the cairn has never been excavated, but allegedly Maeve, either Queen Maeve or the goddess Maeve, is buried there. Very, very special place.
Yeah. I can't wait to go there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's Carrickeel, which is on South Sligo, and there's it's a site with so many cairns, like passage tombs.
Yeah,
just beautiful. Yeah. And then there's Carramore, which is more contained. There's an interpretive centre there, but there are a number of little stone circles. And then, of course, near you are the caves of Keshkoran, which is a series of a network of caves. And according to the legend, is that there's Uav Nagath, which is in Tulska in County Roscommon. There's a cave there, and which is the entrance to the other world, associated with Morrigan. And a story goes that a woman, a farmer, her calf got away, and she was chasing the calf, and the calf started to go into the cave, and she managed to grab the calf by the tail. The calf continued to run. She held on, and eventually they came out of Keshkoran.
Right, that's a long run. Good gracious! I mean, I can actually see the summit from my front room window, and on a clear day. Obviously, sometimes it's covered in mist and rain and what have you, and clouds. But I can see it, and it's a great frustration that I haven't got there yet. But I will as soon as I'm able. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant! So, and of course, you come to Kilkenny for. I suppose you're a member of the Grove in Kilkenny. Have you met any buddies up in Sligo?
Not yet. No. I need to do a bit, get on the hearth and do a bit, introduce myself and do a bit more networking.
So, just tell us a bit about your background.
Okay. My childhood was in West London, and I was lucky enough to, wherever I lived in a flat or a house, the back garden was just waste ground and fields. So lots of trees to climb, ponds to explore. I did a lot of messing around in small brooks, like river tributaries, building dams, and just learning about newts and all the things that live in rivers. I've always been drawn to water. And I feel quite blessed that I had that opportunity and to learn about the trees and all the flowers and the grasses and everything, all the smells and the herbs and all sorts of things. So that was a great start. And I always felt happier outside. And I'm quite an outdoor person, really. I love the elements and the fresh air, and it was lovely. And I know now, because I've studied Druidry and what have you, that I'm an animistic Druid. But I've always been like that. I've always thought that everybody, we're all equal, we're all the same, we're all one spirit. And if ever I was going to school and I found a dead bird or a dead mouse, I quite naively would make it a little grave and put a little cross on it. And be late for school, but I had to do it. I felt that I needed to look after it, I know the fox was going to come and get it later now, but I didn't know that when I was young. So I was always just looking after things, and I'm the eldest of 7, so another gift. 3 of us have passed now, so 4 left. But I believe in spirit that they're happy, and I'm happy that they're happy. That's a good feeling to have that belief.
Mhm.
And so I enjoyed school. It wasn't a religious school. It was just, all religions could go. And I was baptized as a child, as we all were, but we weren't regular churchgoers. And then I started attending whichever church was the nearest to where I lived. It didn't matter what sort of church it was. I would attend the church, and because I wanted to go to the youth club and the girls' brigade, which is like brownies, I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose I was a bit of a hypocrite, really, because I didn't care about what it said in the Bible. Although I was always very interested in Jesus, because he's an Essene healer, of course.
Yeah.
One of the greatest Essene healers. And when I learnt about all that was really interesting. Wonderful discovery.
So I'm just intrigued. You were talking about the brooks and the little rivers and the streams and the trees, and this was in West London that you were exposed to it.
Well, I'd say about an hour out of London, the suburbs. So at the end of all the housing estates, there are some bits of greenbelt, I suppose you'd call it. And we were lucky that we lived near the fields and these little brooks running through the various estates. And so it was really quite urban, to be honest, and built up, lots of shops, lots of factories, but there were little patches of green and wildlife, and I was lucky I lived near them. Yeah.
It's lovely to be able to find those little oases of life within an industrial area. Cara Sue, who's in the US, said I grew up surrounded by woods and hiked through them, but play and exploring were banned by my parents. And that's so hard, because I grew up in a rural area where at a time when we were not supervised. We just went off, you had to be home for dinner. A privilege I did not allow my own children, because all of this stuff was in your heads about the dangers, though my kids live in a rural area and were exposed to a lot, but they were supervised. Where we as children were not supervised. We were told never go near the river. Of course I went to the river. All of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But that huge freedom that kids don't get it now.
It is. So, and I love being allowed to go out. Once we'd done the household chores, we could go out. And sometimes my brothers and sisters would be with me. Sometimes I'd just go with neighbours, or you'd meet someone over there or whatever. So, and we would just take a sandwich and a bottle of water or something and go for the day. And not come back until the evening. It was an amazing freedom. But again, I'm so blessed, I think, to have had that. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was listening to somebody being interviewed, and they were saying that when they grew up, you went out and you knocked on the neighbor's door and said, is Leslie coming out to play?
Yeah.
And children arranged their own social events, plays, meeting down by the river, catching beans or butterflies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now everything is, play dates, everything is arranged by parents. It's really, really interesting how, and I can see why parents do it. It's about care. It's about protecting your children, keep them safe. Because that's the way the world is. But how awful it is that children don't learn how to take care of themselves in a different, because everything is done for them. Liz says, on recognizing the dangers, dysfunction in the environment, we responded by removing the kids rather than removing the dangers, making our system more functional. You know what? That's exactly what it is. And it's just such a pity. And Cara Sue, who said it wasn't allowed places, my dad would take us camping, but it was mostly exclusively so he could go fishing. Jumba says, me and my friends grew up almost feral. We slept in the woods more than in beds. And, those, I suppose at the time, it was so ordinary, nothing exotic. And now, how precious to be able to do that. And unfortunately, less and less opportunities for children to do that. Instead of changing the environment, you just remove. It's a bit like women who are, at risk of being attacked. It's like, well, then don't go out on your own. It's like, rather than actually dealing with the cause of the danger.
Yeah.
But so what kind of an upbringing did you have for your own children then?
I think, I pretty much the same, really. It was, first of all, it was up in Cambridge in the Fens. So,
lovely.
Again, then, although the Fens is a lot of farmland, but there are some nature reserves, and there was one particular nature reserve that myself and the Wildlife Trust volunteers, I was part of them. We actually planted a new wood up there.
Ooh, lovely.
And obviously my children, I've got a picture of one of them on a hay bale, fast asleep.
Oh, lovely.
Not even a year old, but fast asleep in his little sleep suit. Because we would just go and do all the planting and whatever needed doing and take the kids with us. And
that's so beautiful.
All the volunteering work that I did, again, in the holidays and weekends and things, I always took the children with me. So they luckily enough, they love being outside. They love just collecting sticks and, doing all the pond dipping stuff and all that sort of thing. And I think because I needed to be outside, they had to come outside with me. They didn't really get a choice, So, but they all love doing outdoor things now. Yeah, and they've often said they enjoyed what we did, and then obviously for holidays we were in Dingle. So what could possibly be better? Yeah.
Yeah, my kids did a lot of bushcraft, so they learned how to build a fire, how to use a knife, all of that kind of stuff. Ordinary skills like survival skills, but everybody should be able to light a fire.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be able to forage and all of that. But
and that's what's good about the forest schools. So hopefully some children are getting that education. Yeah.
Do you have grandchildren?
I have one grandchild. Yes.
How old?
He's 3 months.
Okay, a little bit young for bushcrafting, but I assume he'll get there.
Yeah. I'm absolutely certain his parents will be doing things. Yeah, like that. Yeah. If not, I'll have to do it, won't I?
Yes, you will. Mm-hmm. A mad Irish granny. Brilliant. So are they living in the UK?
Yeah.
Okay. So from your vaguely Christian background and your love of nature, how did you, as an adult, migrate?
Right. Okay. So when I was going to church, and obviously if you want to do the youth club and the girls brigade, the trade-off is you have to go to Sunday school. Yeah. So I went to Sunday school. Fine. I liked singing. It was great.
Yeah.
But I used to have trouble because I was quite curious and I'd ask questions. And one of the big teachings was God's love is everywhere. Jesus is everywhere. He knows what you're doing and where you're doing it, and he's everywhere. So I said, if he's everywhere, why do we need to come to church? And I got into quite a lot of trouble for that. And I learned not to ask questions. I just wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
And I loved helping at fakes and things like that, and I love just doing social things and being with people, but I never wanted the 10 Commandments. I never needed it, because if you don't know right from wrong, you've got some serious problems. But I understand why some people need those guidelines. I completely understand that. And I just sort of think there's only one commandment I need: love thy neighbour as you would love thyself. And if you do that, you're not going to do any bad things. You're going to look after each other, which is what we're here for. So that was my my take on the Christian. And I've looked at other religions and what have you. So, and when I would sometimes get into conversation with evangelical Christians that wanted to know why I don't go to church, even though I went to the mother and toddlers group and I was a Sunday school teacher for a little while, I wanted to fit in. But it had to be on my terms because, I needed to be able to express myself the way I need to live. And they would say, well, why don't you come and join Bible classes and all the other stuff that goes with it? And I said, because I worship in my garden. I find Jesus and God and love and peace in my garden, or a wood, or anywhere really. But I just said my garden because it was an easy argument, I suppose. But so they finally stopped pestering me, and I finally stopped going to Christian groups because I moved very much towards when I was 34, I did my spiritual healing training, which it just gave me much more confidence to be who I was. And I understood a lot more about energy and how we protect ourselves from things we don't need to do. We have the right of free will to decide how we want to live, not need to fit into a religious community. So I also had a couple of, I suppose you'd call it a vision. I was swimming on the Blasket Islands on the White Strand, and I'd gone over in a trip boat for the day. There was myself and about 8 other people, I think. It was very early on in the season. Being a teacher, I used to do the school holidays at Easter.
Okay, yeah.
Because it was cheaper on the ferry and easier to go then. And we went over for the day, and in those days there was no cafe or toilets or any facilities for people to have you. So you just went with your packed lunch and drink. And most of the people got off the boat and went hiking straight across the Blasket Moor, the spine of the island. But I went straight to the beach because that's my favourite place to be. And I was just swimming. There were 3 other lads playing football right up the other end of the strand. And I was on my own completely. And we could go in the water. It's a seal sanctuary. So when they're there, you can't go in the water. You're not really supposed to go on the strand, or definitely not in the sea. But it wasn't seal mating time, so it was great. And I was just swimming. And as I was swimming, I got this vision of all the animals, plants, fishes, trees, everything just floating around in a great big soup. And I was amazed. I'd never had anything vision happen to me before. And it took me quite a time to process what it meant. But what I took from it was that we are all the same. We're all from the same spirit. We're all in, and I've got an irrational fear of fish. And that's why I never go in deep water. I just swim close in my own depth and what have you, because I'm absolutely terrified of fish for no reason. I can't explain it. So, but here I was swimming around with the fish and the seals and every animal I could think of, and it was wonderful, a wonderful, uplifting experience to feel part of creation.
Yeah,
and that's what we are after all. And as I've learned more, I've believed that more and more. And as I've commune with trees, I sometimes just melt into them, and I can hear their heartbeat. I can hear their vibration as they suck up the water from the roots. and it's beautiful. It's just incredible to share that. I found it very that it just makes me so glad to be alive. Yeah, it's good.
That's a beautiful. Sounds like, and just a wonderful vision to have had while in the sea, in a place where you're frightened, where you're a bit nervous, and that's really, really interesting. How something to did that change your attitude to fish and water after that?
I love water. That hasn't changed at all. I love being immersed in water, not just having a shower. I need to get in it, in a bath or a pond or any rivers, whatever. But no, fish is still awful, absolutely awful. Yeah, I don't know why. I just I don't even want to look at them. Ugh, let alone be near them. But actually, I know they're not going to hurt me. Well, some will, jellyfish and what have you. But I know they won't hurt me. It's just I don't know what it is. It's very strange. But yeah. So
I just want to come back to your commandments bit.
all right.
Just because Sean, who's in Canada, this is what he says, and it's a really interesting take on it. Read the commandments. If you flip "thou shalt not kill" to what I have done to support, what have I done to support life, or "thou shalt not steal," what am I giving to others? It becomes a lot deeper of a practice. And I thought that's quite interesting how so much of Druidry is about what do we do to support life in terms of our connection with the landscape and our service. What do I give to others in service? And I think that there's something beautiful about that, reframing that. And you've done that, with your service.
Yeah. I've always, now I know it's sacred practice, and I didn't know that at the time. But to me, it's a way of thinking is always to recycle.
Yeah.
And nag people till I'm blue in the face about it. Why wouldn't you recycle? How can you go and buy a shop full of plastic and not recycle it? We can't all spend all our days walking around looking for food without plastic on. It's too exhausting. You've got to go to work and pay the rent and all that sort of thing. So, but if everyone did what they could, and I think it's a lot more common now, schools, hospitals, everyone trying to recycle more and be greener because, well, they have to, it's the law. But I've always been just very aware of, if you use something, what you're going to do with it, and where it, who's going to use it next? Are you going to recycle it? What are you going to do with the Earth's riches? Because we as generalizing, but I don't think it's been thought through enough with the laws of the country. Some countries, the Nordic, one of them, I can't remember which now, have laws about when you invent something, like say, I don't know, petrol or whatever it is, or when you invent a machine like a car, you have to, in part of the process of manufacturing, you've also got to have a way of recycling it, like car batteries, etc. You can't just manufacture something and get a license to do it unless you know what you're going to do with the end product. And to me, that's common sense. Why isn't everyone doing that all over the world? It's just how I think. And
also making things to last. Because
yeah.
My mother changed her
and what have you. Yeah.
My mother changed her washing machine, I think last year, or the year before last. She'd had it 40 years.
That's how it should be, I think.
And it's like, what?
In obsolescence, unfortunately, which is insane. It's just about making money, unfortunately. Yeah. And that's what's intrinsically wrong in my head. Things should be sacred led. Things should be led by common sense.
Which isn't very common.
Old adage. Things should be led by what I call joined up thinking. What are you going to do next? What's going to happen to it? Who's going to use it? Rather than things going to landfill. Yeah.
Sorry, Liz calls it cradle to grave thinking.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah. We all have to decide where to be buried or burnt or whatever we're going to do to ourselves. But that should be happening with everything.
Yeah.
And in many ways, in nature, it is. A tree will always give back to the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And most animals, I mean, we are part of the food chain intrinsically. We'll all end up as worm fodder one day. But so yeah, it's all that sort of thing. So I've always, throughout my career and working with children as a nursery nurse, and then children, adults as a social worker, and then teaching, I've always used analogies from nature. Did it, planting bulbs, and if we haven't got a garden, you can grow cress. So there's all sorts of ideas. I don't need to bore people with all that, but I've always tried to introduce good practice in everything. Yeah, and just being aware of all the things you can do, and even if it's a tiny small thing, like choosing to buy loads of things, tins instead of plastic, because you can buy tins and glass, and you can make choices about what you buy. And it's not, I don't think it's that much effort, but it's quite important to me just to do as much as I can, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know just some of the comments here, I know the EU passed a bill a few years ago about that manufacturers had to remove that inbuilt obsolescence piece, that items were made to last. It's going to take a lot of effort and will and motivation
yeah.
for that to happen. And then you see, this is the sad thing, is that we've gotten used to cheap commodities, that we don't want to spend a lot of money on something that will last a longer time. And so often the price is what motivates us. And I'm talking about, often people go for the cheaper option, even though they could afford to go for the more expensive one. It's not necessarily a decision made out of lack of money or poverty, but it's, well, this is cheaper, so therefore I'm getting a bargain. I'm thinking like that. And rather than saying, no, I'm going to spend well. And that's how I was brought up. Buy the good thing, and it'll last you. And then all of that changed. I remember the first time I had a leather bag, and the zip, it had a zip in it, and the zip broke. And I went taking it to a mender, and they said, "Nah, won't do that. It's going to take too long." I remember I had a lovely bread maker, and it said, "No, it's cheaper to buy a new one." I fell for it, and I got another one, but it was never as good as the one I had, and I never used it. Mimi says the problem with buying jars is that I hate to get rid of a nice glass jar. I love reusing them. I keep using them, and the ones that I can't put stuff in, I use them for night tea lights. Yes. But I suppose it depends on where you live. It depends on what are the facilities living where you are. That can be easy or very, very difficult depending on where you are. Michelle says it's much better to get a lovely coat that you'll wear for years than a cheapie that goes out of fashion, falls apart, and ends up in landfill. Yeah.
I did feel that it's something I'm passionate about, and I try and not go off to too many rants. But I did feel that, I mean, when you're speaking to like-minded people, it's easy. When you're trying to just sow a few seeds, that's a bit harder, because people are set in their ways. It's free will. They can do what they like. It's their money, and that's fine. But I think when I speak to people about things like peace, for instance, how can I do anything to change? And we've had this conversation on here lots of times, the story about the starfish and everything. And I truly believe that even when we're in ritual and we call the four quarters for peace. And if everyone could do that in just one little meditative moment for a day, we'd all be a lot happier, because there's so much anxiety about peace because of the wars going on and the uncertainty of it all. And whenever I don't know how, but I always get into this conversation with people, just strangers out walking their dogs when I'm out walking, and and they tell me a little bit about what they're doing and why they're doing it, and I'd say, well, you are practicing looking after the planet in if they're doing a bit of voluntary work or something in the cemetery where I have walks and things, and so that's take that on board, that you are doing your bit to help the planet. And I think, well, I think the planet knows that. I think the planet has this wisdom, and it knows when it's being helped, and it's something we can all do. And lots and lots of druids I've spoken to, it's what we're doing. And I also think that people who are not druids they are doing it somewhere deep down inside. They are they want to be druids because they still are trying to achieve some peace inside, and how to live in this world the way it is at the moment. So yeah, I carried on with I used to Morris dance quite a lot. And I did that for many, many years, wherever I lived in the country, and wherever I ended up, I would always join a Morris side. So there'd be lots of festivals to go to and lots of pagan things going on. And whenever I spoke to people, they'd suggest that I was a hedge witch. And I went, oh yeah, okay, right, that's fine, I'll be a hedge witch. That's great. Because I wasn't sure about what I wanted to label myself, if that makes any sense. Thinking I'm just going to be me. I don't want to fit in. I'm just going to go my own path, and that's fine. But I couldn't stop looking at the same time, if that makes sense. And then I was quite happy being a hedge witch, and then but it's not everything, and it wasn't everything for me anyway. So quite a few life events happened and what have you. I finally joined OBOD at the age of 53. I just started my teacher training, and I knew about druids. I read so many myths and what have you, and tales about them, but I just thought, oh, that's very sacred. I can't rise to that level. Good God, I'm doing quite well as I am. I'm fine, and I'm working full time. I had my last child at 45, so I was still looking after my youngest and just keeping things going. And then when I met Kevin, my husband, he'd also started the OBOD course, and he showed me the Grassi. And when I looked at it, I thought, this is me. This is who I am. This is what I need to do. And I've never looked back. And that was 53. I'm now 69, and I'm still on the Bardic grade. But I wrote a children's book, and I think it took 2 years to move to Ireland. And then within 6 months of getting here, I had quite a serious illness, and it affected me physically and mentally. And I couldn't get a diagnosis. I didn't know what was wrong, but I had a pretty good idea. And I finally got a diagnosis, and I had a lymphoma attached to my spine. And so the good news was that it's treatable. So I went with that. I had the treatment straight away, and it was quite an invasive treatment because I was told it's invasive lymphoma and this is the way you treat it. And somehow or other we got through that. I finished chemo in January, and then I got ill again. I went back to hospital because I had sepsis for about a month, I think. And so my recovery is quite slow because I'm they said because of my age it would take a year to recover from chemo anyway, and then with the sepsis as well, your muscles are much weaker. So I went from being someone who was reasonably fit, dancing, swimming, hiking, and to a person that could only walk for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what I could do, so that's all I did. And so that was quite a big lifestyle change, really. And I'm still coming to terms with that. I'm a very impatient Aries, so I would like to click a switch and be back to normal again. But I realise that's going to take time. You just have to accept these things. And why did it happen now when I'm supposed to be enjoying Ireland? And I am enjoying Ireland. The village I live in have been so welcoming and so supportive. They've been wonderful. And that's a very nurturing feeling that I feel I belong here, and they've just accepted me. And Kevin, of course, it's wonderful. So even though I've been ill, I've had the support from my family. Obviously, lots of visits and telephone calls and everything. It's been a very supportive, loving, nurturing time as well. So that's my excuse for not finishing the Bardic grade yet, and also I've been researching another book. So I need to get on with that as soon as I can. But the chemo leaves you with a lot of brain fog and a lot of I'm amazed I haven't forgotten what I'm talking about, because often I just stop in mid sentence and go, "Oh, it's gone. I'll get back to you tomorrow." But it's been quite a journey.
I think it's because I know you'd broken your arm 2 years ago, and then you get better, and then next you get the lymphoma, but I know when years ago after a cesarean section, when I had a post-op wound infection, and being so frustrated that my body let me down because how I see myself is I'm fast, I walk fast, I talk fast, and I'm always healthy. And then this comes along, and you had the same thing, breaking your arm, and it's like, wow. And then if that's not bad enough, then you come through the chemo, and then you go and get your sepsis. And it was so lovely to see you start coming back to Kilkenny, fragile at first, and then you were dancing at the Eisteddfod in in the street with the support of the stage. But it was so lovely that you kept on dancing. And it took me, I don't know how many years, I'm not going to count how many years in the Bardic grade. It took me 6-7 years to do it. And I would say there is no rush. Do you know what you're doing? You've written a book, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you're now working on it. You're actually being the bard. You're actually doing it.
Yeah.
It's not about completing the course. It's about actually living it and doing it, which is exactly what you're doing, which is really, really powerful. Nimi says the bard is strong in you. And Sean says, that's not an excuse, that's a reason. And it sounds like you're applying the teaching just fine to me, which I agree, Sean, absolutely. And there's, people sending you healing blessings as well from our viewers. But,
thank you very much.
How would you say, dealing with your health and your illness, because, cancer is you've got death, or the specter of death facing you, and all that uncertainty. So how would you say I imagine it has, this is a closed question of me, I'll ask it openly. How has Druidry helped you navigate your way with your health and all that has happened to you in the last, I suppose, year or two?
I think my deep love for life, my deep love for nature and everything around me is healing, especially the trees and the sea and the rivers. And if I can just get out into nature, and even if I can't, I can sit and meditate. I've got a brilliant imagination. I can just be, I don't know, whatever I'm doing, it's a bit of housework or something. But in my head, I'm away with the fairies. I can just disappear onto a beach or in a tree or wherever I need to be to calm down, because the anxiety of, oh God, I needed a blood transfusion, I needed white blood cells, I needed antibiotics. I really was very close then, more close than right way through the chemo to facing death. But here I am. And so even though I'm cross with my body for letting me down, and I'm trying to love it more and just be patient with it. And it's because I have this this understanding through Druidry that I believe our soul comes into us when we're conceived, and we live with that soul, and we're here to learn lessons. And
That's right.
when all these things are going on, I'm thinking, my God, what the hell did I do in a previous life to deserve this? And so you through Druidry, you can accept. I think it gives you an acceptance that the world will come right. And that's how I feel. It might be naive, it might be optimistic, rose-tinted glasses, but I truly believe that if we can find peace within us, and I feel I have that. I feel that I try to spread that to other people, to share it, really, my experience, and hope that I might be an example, or I might set a positive attitude for people going through the same sort of struggles.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a number of people who have got chronic illness, and the frustration when your body won't do what your mind wants, and being, ill for quite a while, and learning patience, and it's and that frustration. And interesting, when I had mine, I thought, okay, I'm assuming I'm going to heal from this, that I am not going to be chronically ill. And I thought, okay, also, there are people with chronic health problems or, disabilities or whatever it is. I'm like, how do they manage? Where do they get the grace? And it was just a small window, an insight into what it might be like for somebody else who has this in the long term. Made me really appreciate my health and what I have for as long as I have it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that, you can get sometimes, I come across the odd arrogant person thinking, well, it's because of my practice I don't have cancer, and because I do this, and I eat that, and I don't do X, Y, and Z, and this is why I'm healthy, and it's all down to me, and therefore the others who get sick, it's because they haven't been doing the right thing. And it's like, it doesn't work that way.
No.
We get illnesses, we get whatever it is, the challenges in our life, as a test in some way, or it's part of our path to work with it. And interesting, Sean says, the entire of nature, the elements and the land exist within our physical body, one of substance, as an old Christian creed might say. So I think we take our toolkit everywhere we go, or don't. And that's interesting that we have it also within. Jules says, such an inspiring story, and I'm loving the part of being away with the fairies. Your words are full of wisdom. Thank you. And of course, that's I know it's certainly an Irish phrase, but do you use that in England as well, or in the UK?
Oh yeah, definitely. People would use it for me because I'd be more interested in the colour of a flower than where we're going. And it's glowing, it's talking to me. I have to stop, I have to smell it, I have to touch it. And so I've always been a bit weird, but it's normal for me, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a lovely expression way with the fairies. And I know here when it's been used, it's always been used affectionately rather than,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
either mad or evil or whatever it is.
yeah, yeah.
But so I just want to, before we finish, because I want to refer to your book. So it's the book you have published was like Grandmother Willow Tree School.
Yeah, it's here.
And that can be found on it's in the Obod. Look at that, the illustration is beautiful. The Obod website in the Obod shop, and I'm going to put in another link for if you don't want to use, if you want to go online. Sorry about this. It's a strange kind of, it's like one of these passwords that you have to make sure we get it right. Okay, there's that, or the Obod store. And so this book, so just tell us a little, tell us about it.
Okay, it's aimed at 5 to 7 year olds, and I've also written it specifically with, and the illustrations are important in this as well, for children with sensory processing needs.
Yeah.
So it's very important that the words match the illustration. Otherwise, they can get confused and not understand what I'm trying to teach, if that makes sense. It's a book about connecting to nature and through trees. And in the story, the children are learning with the trees, asking the questions and getting the answers. And I've made it interactive so that there are clapping rhymes and physical stand up and let's all dance around the willow tree. And so it's got suggestions for children who live in flats who haven't got a garden, and how to find. It's got a few references and ideas of how to join the Children's Wildlife Trust wherever you are, or so it's sort of educational and interactive at the same time. And then I started doing interactive storytelling with the children, going to library things and groups and what have you, and taking props with me and activities with me, because sometimes the children are not able to sit and listen to a story. They can do an activity, but they're listening, they're scanning at the same time. Yeah. And that's why I'm looking forward to finding a publisher over here and an illustrator to do the next book about rivers.
Oh, beautiful. And Nimi has a question, but I know the answer. Can grown-ups read it too? And I say all children, even those with bank accounts, even those who pay taxes, if they do, can read it. Because I actually love children's stories, I think. And that is the little bit I've seen, just so beautifully illustrated.
What I love to do is, I'm a bit of a coward. I wouldn't dream of telling another adult what to do or what to think. But if you teach their children and read a story, the adults will come up afterwards and say, "Where did you do that? How did you do that? Can you tell me about that?" So the adults are learning at the same time as the child, and I love that. Yeah.
And I think that's the power of story. That instead of having a message, you should care for the environment, you should care for trees. That's that didactic top-down thing. But telling a story is just a lovely way in, because the listeners enter the story and then begin to identify with the trees, the animals, or the characters in the story, and then it makes more sense to them, and then a place to think about trees. There's been a lot of concern. A book called something about, I haven't got the right title, but it's about spruce trees and being sent to schools all over Ireland, and I think maybe other countries. But it's all about the spruce tree is not a native tree to Ireland, and it has done so much damage because there's so many monoculture forests of spruce trees
Mhm.
for building, etc. And they've leached into rivers and lakes and done a lot of damage, and nothing grows because they allow no light in. And yet, this book has gone around talking about this is educational and this helps children understand trees. It's not. It's a a great example of greenwashing. And Michelle says, I've just bought your book ready for my first grandchild arriving in December. I will certainly take a peek first. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Your mindset is wonderful. Oh, this is brilliant. Jules says, this book is a must-have for my granddaughter. I've been looking for something like this. Thank you, Leslie. What an excellent avenue to reach a little mind and to teach them to process these ways.
Thank you.
Harrison says, I'm reading The Wild Wood by Colin Malloy. It's a children's novel, but very deep and profound. And then Sean says, tell me and I'll forget, show me and I might remember, evolve me and I'll understand the says the saying. Of course, that's what you're doing with your sessions in the library and getting children to act, through movement. Beautiful. Yeah, and Amy says, goodness, Eimear, what about the Irish rainforest? They should be teaching that. I know they should. I know this is one of the frustrating things. And there are lots of, people online complaining about it, that book is just horrendous. How the mindlessness of, this thing about, well, no, this is good for you. You just say it's natural. It's 100% natural or whatever it is. So's anthrax.
Yes.
So being slipshod about saying things. Yes, Sean, Ireland has a rainforest. It's not a tropical rainforest. It's a temperate rainforest. You've little pockets. There's one not far from where I am. You were down in Dingle, weren't you? So, this is Killarney I'm talking about. Killarney.
I know, I've got his book.
Turk Waterfalls is... That's a rainforest because you'll see the moss. It's beautiful and it's a beautiful magic, and then it has its own flora and fauna. There's a good idea for Leslie's next book. Oh well, she said the one is on rivers, but you could do a rainforest one as well. So
wow, yes, okay. I mean, there's lots. If I had the energy, and I will get it back, hopefully. There are. First, there were so many things. There, where do I stop? There's so many areas to discover, and what I tried to do in the book, and what I've done through the years with children, is say, when I've seen some young children damage a tree, as they often do, I think I'll get those conkers off and I'll break the branch at the same time, whatever, and I just go and say, that's a branch. It's like your arm. And the leaves are like your fingers. Would you like it if the trees came and ripped you up and tore bits off you and just left you on the ground? Because I'm trying to get we're very similar to trees scientifically, and we have a crown, a head like the tree does. We have feet for roots, and so that's what I'm trying to do: get children to realize that trees are very similar to us. They need food and nutrients the same as we do, and that happens quite a lot throughout nature. Rivers are a great example of, if you look at the earth as a human body, the rivers, the lakes and everything are the veins running through, keeping the whole water cycle going. I mean, there's loads of scientific things I could be saying, but so I think our bodies, I mean, I think if you look at our fingerprints, they're the same as the
rings on the tree.
There's all sorts of analogies where we're part of the same DNA, the same whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, Pata said there's she's put in a link. She's on Facebook. The magic of an Irish rainforest. So there's something you can look up on that.
Right, thank you.
I'm going to put it in just because not everybody will have it because she's on Facebook. Okay. Okay. The magic of an Irish rainforest. Okay, that'll go into all of them there. Yeah. So before we finish, because we've come to our hour now.
Oh.
So what concerns you about the modern world?
Mainly the lack of peace in people's hearts. The people have lost the ability to just care for themselves. And once you care for yourself, then you're more able to care for the planet and everyone around you. And we seem to be hyper busy and don't even have time to think about just spending 10 minutes a day meditating or doing your favorite thing. Looking after yourself is, if we don't look after ourselves, who's going to do it? We need to do that. And some of us are probably very good at that, I'm sure, but not everybody is. I think we get in a bit of a tangle with all. When I say the pressures, it's things like social media, things that happen on the television. Everyone seems to be nuts about turning everything into a drama, and there's enough drama going on if you walk up the road and look at a new bud coming out into leaf, or there's beautiful things. You just need to know how to find them, and
Absolutely,
and not get overburdened with politics and war and all the responsibilities of the world as it is at the moment. It's just stepping out for 10 minutes and taking time for yourself.
absolutely. Sean says those who are not at peace with themselves will be forever at war with the world or each other. So, and that's so true, because it all starts with ourselves. But so what is it that gives you hope, or do you have any hope?
I do. I firmly believe that good will outweigh evil, I suppose, and that there are you can look at websites that are just called good news. If you choose what to watch, and you choose what to absorb and take in. So it's again, it's about thinking, about making a conscious decision to think positively. And I'm not saying it's easy, because it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
I spend a lot of time going down a dark, shadowy place and pulling myself back. And oh, whoa, stop that! I can do that. I can say stop, go away. I don't want to talk to you. Whatever it is that's going on in my head, be gone. And then if I'm really getting dragged down, I know what to do to repair. I can just go outside. Just be outside in the fresh air, take some deep breaths, and start again. And so, and this is why I write books for children. I feel that if I can start with the children, and then they will have a more positive attitude and way of thinking, and because once we're adults, we often lose that sense of wonder. And so, yeah, I sort of aim to always, if we keep the children educated, for want of a better word, and give them the power to believe that they can change things, because often children don't realise that yet. They don't. They're in their own family unit or their own school classroom, and they haven't. And sometimes you can't. You're very shy, or you haven't got the confidence to behave the way you want to behave. And yeah, so and some cultures really look after the children, and that's great, and that's good, and I see that happening a lot here. But obviously, I live in a rural place at the moment. Cities are very different. It's a very different story. So, but if we can bring children out of the cities and show them what is here, what can be found.
That's right. And, you know, they're seeds, they're little saplings. And funny, Angela says, when my husband was recuperating after learning to walk after an amputation, he walked every day in the local trees. And he said he'd tell it to the trees. They're good listeners. And there is something about that. And I had a guest, fireside guest, some months back, Roma Johnson from Princeton in the US. And she had made a commitment to herself that she balanced every bad news thing with focusing on peace. So almost like minute for minute. So if she had 3 minutes of something that was not very pleasant, then she compensated with 3. She had that balance. And I think that's a lovely thing too. Like what you do is, okay, I've had too much of that, because we do need to know what's going on in the world. It's when we get caught up and into that hopeless place, because Morgan says, I always love the hope question, helps balance out my climate anxiety or worrying about the world. And I think we need to keep one eye on the world and not be in a bubble, though bubbles are nice. But it's also to be able to take time out and go within and recharge so that we're strong enough to deal with it. And Maidso says, or Madso, to take the time to notice. And I think that's what about being still. Well, it's been such a joy talking to you, Leslie, and the time has absolutely flown. We've gone over our hour. So I let you say goodbye to everybody.
Okay, it's been an absolute pleasure and an honour. Thank you for asking me. Okay, go in peace.
Go in peace. And I know people have really enjoyed your somebody described what you're listening to was like listening to poetry. So it's really just so lovely to hear you. And you know, you speak very passionately. You just, which is great. That yeah, even though you know you're not as well as you'd like to be, but there's an energy in what you say, and there's more power to your writing, Leslie. As a Buddhist monk once said, what is this from Sean? No one goes into a doctor's office and says, Doc, what's right with me? Sometimes asking that question is a useful thing. Thanks, Leslie. That was great. Thank you. Blessings to you. So it's been such a joy having a chat with you, Leslie, and blessings of healing from Nimi. So I look forward to seeing you when I see you again. And I just stay on because we can look at the comments afterwards. Okay. Jules says, you're an inspiration, Leslie. Thank you so much for sharing your stories with the world. And Michelle says, peace to you all and thank you for a lovely chat.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
So I'll see you on the other side through the veil just as I say goodbye. So thank you all for joining me this evening. And it was a lovely chat with Leslie, and love to Sligo. It's beautiful there. Absolutely. So I shall see you next week for another Fireside Chat. And in the meantime, I hope you're managing whatever weather you're dealing with, and remain cool and warm wherever you are, be it on the Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere, and be well until we meet again. So have a good evening, have a good morning, have a good day, or if you are watching a recording of this. So until we meet again, slán go fóill.